everyone. I am Jason McCaw, your host of the PvP Live podcast, accompanied by staff members Aridin, Eldakar, and Davis. How is everyone doing today? Danny, how are you? Oh, I'm sorry, Davis. I usually start with you, don't I? Man, what a jerk I am. I do. You know what, Davis? I'm going to start.
Clearly,
I know.
since I've been away.
I know. You've been away. You've been at DreamHack, which we're going to talk about very shortly. But, Davis, how are you doing this fine Sunday?
I am doing just grand.
Yeah. I think you're actually... I know your cam's a little bit blurry because you're in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, but I think you're wearing a onesie right now? Is that true?
I'm wearing a Sweden scarf. Okay.
Yeah, why don't you stand up so everyone can see your blurry 8-pixel onesie?
Yeah, sure, no problem. And this is actually a onesie made of Scotland flags, and I don't know if you can see that in 8-bit resolution.
Oh boy!
But it's pretty good. I wore this all day one day at DreamHack, and I didn't regret a single second of it.
I would hope not. I got to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of it. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Wait, does it have footies?
It doesn't.
Then that's not a true onesie. That's a definition of a onesie, David.
Well, I mean, it's all in one. Isn't that a onesie? No.
Anyways, Aridin, how are you doing today, buddy?
Great. How are you? How's chat? Chat, say something. Where are you guys at?
I think chat's doing well.
I know there's only 10 of you, but come on.
Yeah, what's going on here? I don't know. Eldakar.
There's a lot. I think there's a lot going on today. There's
there's
a tournament going on.
Yeah,
right
there's
now?
a arena tournament, level 70 or 80 tournament going on right now. So I'm guessing probably a lot of people are there. I'm not really sure. Eldakar, how have you been?
I've been doing great. I'm excited to be back on the podcast here. I know we missed last week.
Yeah, there was there's a lot going on, and that's something I think we kind of want to talk about too. Jump into holiday play schedules and how that affects your arena time and organizing that around. So that's something we'll all get into. Kind of opening up the discussion, just like we were talking about. Davis just got back from DreamHack, and I want to hear all about it. We actually haven't talked about what you did over there or what happened over there. I hear you got a free pair of gunners and you were wearing your onesie. Other than that, I know nothing. What'd you do there, Davis?
So, my DreamHack experience was a fun one. Okay, I showed up. Sweden was really nice and everything, and then my laptop decided it didn't want to run World of Warcraft anymore, or anything else that required any graphics card effort at all. So I couldn't watch streams on it, I couldn't do anything on it but use it for emails and things like that, and then it just started to die more and more, so I couldn't actually play games at DreamHack, which was a little annoying.
Well, yeah, actually, Davis, for the people that don't know, why don't you explain just real quickly what DreamHack is? Like, why are you playing WoW there?
So, DreamHack is a big LAN event,
right?
Where everyone comes along. You get people there who hook up their computers and just sit play games all day. You get people who bring their computer for a day and play games for a day. And then there's tournaments and things that go on that you can go and watch. There's a bunch of stands from various esports related organizations and companies. Even some that aren't particularly esports oriented. There was army recruitment and things like that there, which was interesting. It's like, hey, you look like you could use a gun, kid.
There you go.
You want to shoot people in games? Come shoot people in real life.
Yeah. We'll show you where the real kill-death ratio matters. But but yeah, so there was all that going on, and that was awesome. But yeah, so that's what DreamHack is, and there was music too. We were in the hall that had the big concert stage in it, so the music was loud a lot of times. I was kind of glad to be able to wander around and not be bound to sitting in my computer chair. But yeah.
Did you get to meet anyone there?
I did. So I met Chinglish, Soda Poppin', NMP, all of his crew. Really,
yeah.
They were really cool. We went to the Twitch TV after party with them, and I met Too Good, who is amazing to me. I met I met Sheffy, I think it is, from Twitch TV, and he was a really cool guy. I met a bunch of the Dota commentators. I met some StarCraft players. I met all kinds of people. I met people who own teams. I met people who organize the events. It was a really crazy experience. I met people from all walks of life. Um, and I met a bunch of people at the Blizzard booth. Um, I met Riniwi, I think her name is.
Hmm.
She just took over as community rep for Diablo, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Uh, and then I also met a bunch of the other Blizzard staff that were working there. And for the majority of one day, I just stood there and spoke to those guys and got to know them. And that
In
was
your
really cool.
onesie.
In my onesie,
Yeah.
yes, in my
Wow.
onesie,
Oh,
I
man.
was at the Blizzard booth playing Warlords of Draenor, and then I went back another day not in my onesie and looked a bit more respectable, I think. Though this does
Sounds
command
awesome, man.
respect,
Sounds awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
It
You're
was.
the king of
absolutely.
Scotland.
Yeah.
How much more
Yeah,
respectable can you
Right.
be?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
gotta
know,
be
right?
honest. I mean, I'm completely jealous. I'm hoping. Well, something we were actually just talking about too is I need to get my passport. I mean, I think I'm
Yeah.
at the age now where I think everyone should probably have their passport. I know Jeff actually, Eldakar doesn't have one either. And I mean, I think I need to go to the post office and kind of get one. You know, who knows where the world's gonna take me. But anyways, kind of on a topic that I want to talk about, the holidays, Thanksgiving coming up. It's probably more of a relevant
Well,
subject.
Thanksgiving passed.
Well,
Thanksgiving
did I
came
just say
up.
that? Yeah, I guess it
Yeah.
came
you
and
did.
passed. The reason.
Well, technically, Thanksgiving is still coming up. It's just really far away.
That's true, yeah. In a full year from now. Well, I should say Christmas and New Year's and such, and I'm guessing this probably affects more so PvE raiders than, PvP arena times, because you can basically play, arena whenever you want. But, how did the holidays affect your gameplay? Does it take a lot away? Are you traveling a lot for the holidays? Aridin, starting with you, what do you got going over the next couple weeks here?
Well, I mean, I'm a married man. I have kids, so obviously there's now two sides of the family I have to cater to. With the wife's family, with my family. So yeah, it's a lot of, especially like right around the actual days of the holidays, like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day. There's a lot of stuff going on. I had family come in from another state that was visiting, so I was kind of like away from my computer for like 4 or 5 days, and yeah, it kind of gets in the way of playing games. But it's my family. I love them, so
Right.
can't
Yeah,
really complain.
You can't beat that. I actually,
Yeah.
I currently live in my hometown that I used to live in growing up. And most of pretty much all my friends from high school, kind of moved away. They live on the other side of the country, West Coast, or, in New York. And pretty much, all of them come home for the holidays over, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. And so it's pretty much for me, it's not so much even hanging out with my family because I see my parents all the time because they live very close to me. But it's more so for me, I'm kind of hanging out with my friends because it's, people that I don't really see for a whole entire year. And that generally takes up most of my time. But other than that, I mean, you can't really beat the holiday season, right? I mean, it's kind of a fun time and jolly time for everyone. Going down to Eldakar, how about yourself? I mean, how's the holidays affect your game time?
The holidays really limited my game time, not just because of family obligations and stuff like that, but all the time that I spend working on family stuff is time that sets me behind at work. So I spend more of my own time catching up on work stuff, and then trying to write for the site and do other stuff like that eats up, most of what little free time I've got left.
Right.
So I pretty much haven't had any game time at all for the last few weeks.
Yeah, it seems like it's really hard to balance, but I guess it's something that you kind of have to do. Davis, going over to you. I got to be honest with you. I don't even know. Do you celebrate Christmas in Scotland? Is that something you guys do over there, or is that?
No, we have the great festival of the haggis, which is it's very different. No,
Yeah.
we celebrate Christmas over here, just like you guys.
Okay.
Only with a lot less lights. Okay, we try and do the lights thing, but we don't have the houses that you're like, whoa, like that guy really likes Christmas, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Which is something I kind of miss about America, was how excited people got about Halloween and Christmas and stuff, and made their gardens truly transform. But here we're a little more subtle. You still get the occasional blow up Santa if you're, if you're
You're
really
real hardcore.
adventurous.
That's about
You're
the
a
extent of
hardcore
it.
Christmas.
JD, did you just
Um,
say gardens instead of yards? Is that like a Scotland thing?
It's a Scotland thing, yes. Gardens, yards, same thing.
Davis, I'm actually, we were talking about this a couple days ago. I'm glad you brought haggis up because I'm still waiting for my UPS shipment of haggis that has not arrived from Scotland. Where is it coming?
Oh.
When's it coming?
I mean, I have to go and hunt the haggis first,
I
Like
don't
these are really rare creatures. You don't quite understand how difficult
see.
and how prestigious a haggis is, okay?
I didn't really. Okay, so let's do a little explanation here. If you guys didn't know, I guess I didn't know. I didn't realize haggis was an animal. I thought haggis was more of a blood pudding.
No. Haggis is definitely an animal. It's a
It's
small.
I didn't know
It's
that either.
small.
A wild haggis has appeared.
Davis is.
Yeah.
We're not in Pokemon right now. I feel like you're like living in a game world right now.
I'm being serious. A haggis is a small three-legged creature, okay?
Oh boy.
It has 3 legs, so it can run around the bottom of hills in circles really quickly. That's the reasoning behind the 3 legs.
Oh my
Okay?
god.
And we use them to chase the English mostly out of our country.
That's a big
That
problem that
explains
you
why
guys
you
have over there.
I don't know if it failed. Like we did okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's what haggis is. So yeah, I have to go out and find one. Then I have to chase it around a hill, and they have 3 legs, so they run around it a lot better than I do.
Yeah, it's like a tripod.
Yeah. So, but I mean, eventually the haggis will make its way to you.
Okay, I want to mention too that I want this caught live. I don't want a dead haggis showing up at my door.
I mean, there are a lot of restrictions regarding who can see a haggis. I'll have to run it over with my people. But,
I have no idea where this discussion's going. In the meantime, when we go to the next subject, Davis, maybe you can go on Google Images and pull up a picture of a haggis for all of us to see. The next thing I kind of wanted to talk about, I know this is a couple weeks old, but we didn't have the podcast last week, is Ghostcrawler. Greg Street has officially left Blizzard to move on to an undisclosed gaming company. But we do know for a fact, because he tweeted last week, that it's not going to be another MMO, so he's not moving over to Elder Scrolls Online or WildStar. But there has been a lot of rumors about him possibly moving over to Riot. And of course, again, that's extremely just a rumor going around, but no one really knows exactly where he's going. And I'm sure all of us are, pretty sad because all of us met, Greg at BlizzCon besides Davis, because he was chasing haggis around. But yeah, I mean, it's really sad, but it's also going to be really interesting to see where he goes. And I kind of want to actually open up this discussion with Aridin. Aridin, what are your thoughts if he actually does, or if he is moving over to Riot? Like I said, complete rumor. What do you think that means?
I mean, I don't know, honestly. It's like the first thing I want to do is explain exactly what it is he does, because I think a lot of people kind of get like misinterpret it. He's not in there coding the game. He's not really making the game himself. The game you play, and he gets a lot of heat for stuff. But I think one of the biggest things to note about Ghostcrawler is he has opened up more than anybody communication with the developers, right? Like before he was involved, like we didn't really hear what was going on. We didn't we didn't get a chance to communicate with anybody. So he got on Twitter and he's been really like upfront and kind of like a figurehead for the development at Blizzard. And honestly, I think anywhere he goes, regardless of if it's Riot, if it's somewhere else, I think he's going to continue to do that. So he's going to make the development process a lot more transparent for wherever he ends up, I think. And with that obviously comes, now you have a name and a face to point the finger at when your favorite game all of a sudden isn't, going so well anymore. But I don't know. I think he's a very dedicated person. He loves gaming. He loves, designing games and being part of the community. So I think anybody that takes him on is, gaining a major asset.
Yeah. It's also to note too. It's Ghostcrawler's gotten so much undeserved hate on Twitter. It's just because the gaming community is such a trolling community. It really is overall, and it's sad that that's happened. Eldacar, I know you're very involved in the forums and everything, so I'm sure you see Ghostcrawler hate all the time. But kind of what are your thoughts about Ghostcrawler leaving? And do you have any thoughts about where he possibly might end up? Obviously, just rumors, but.
Well, first, I agree with Danny completely. It's a huge loss to lose Ghostcrawler, and he's going to bring a lot of value to whatever company he ends up at.
For sure.
I can understand his desire on a professional level to want to, move to a different project and work on something new, because as much as I'm sure he loved World of Warcraft and working with the World of Warcraft design team, it probably gets a little bit old working on the same game for a really long time. But what I'm trying to figure out is why he would leave Blizzard when they have so many cool in-house projects that he could have potentially moved to. And that, to me, tells me that he's probably moving to something that's in a genre or a style that they don't really have at Blizzard at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that he really wanted to pursue. I just can't see him going to something like Riot and doing League of Legends when Blizzard is developing their own in-house MOBA.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why wouldn't he just move over to their MOBA team?
So you think
maybe he's working for the mob and they made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
I mean, it's actually it's a really good point that you brought up. Is maybe a game that Blizzard is not working on. So I mean, maybe he's even moving over to Bethesda or something. Ubisoft, go work on Borderlands or something like that. It's really hard to know because I personally don't know his his style of play or what he enjoys to play or what his likes and dislikes are. So yeah, it's really interesting. Like you said, it's kind of difficult to understand why he would leave Blizzard when they do have so many different franchises they're starting, and they're even starting another unannounced game, which we're going to be talking about soon. But Eldacar, what do you think about Celestalon? Possibly, do you think he might be a possible takeover for Ghostcrawler's job?
I think it seems possible. Obviously, we don't have that much inside information about how their selection process works,
Sure.
but I would imagine that if they were looking to promote somebody from in-house to a similar position to one Ghostcrawler had,
Mm-hmm.
or the same position, they would want to roll them out slowly and kind of test the waters first before they officially announce he's taking over Ghostcrawler's job. So
Right.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it happen. Or, I mean, you never know. They might just promote somebody else in.
Yeah, in case you guys don't know, Celestalon kind of, since Ghostcrawler has left, Celestalon's kind of taken over talking to people through Twitter, I guess you could say, or responding to people on Twitter. So there's a lot of rumors going around that he might possibly take over Greg's job. But like I said, it's all rumors. But I cannot wait to see when he finally announces where he's going. And I think he said possibly next week, or no?
He said we'll know for sure, but he's not ready to talk about it yet.
Okay.
And just I want to just clarify for a few things actually. Celestalon is not necessarily like a lead developer. He's like the math guy. He's the one that's in the office crunching numbers, making sure everything's balanced, right? So you have, I guess, him to blame for Warriors or whatever. I don't know. But I think maybe not necessarily taking over the position of like lead game developer, lead game designer, but I think more so taking over the position of like community interaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what
from what I understand, Blizzard's like internal like promotion, sort of the way that works is they don't really look to make somebody something. They're not saying like, okay, Greg's gone, we got to promote somebody. They just kind of let it happen,
Mm-hmm. See who kind of takes over for it.
Right,
Who steps up and tries to fill that position. Davis,
Exactly.
we haven't heard from you yet. What do you think about Ghostcrawler's departure?
I'm looking forward to mages being in a reasonable state. Anyone?
Oh, man.
But he plays a priest.
He does? What?
That's what he said. His final blue post, he plays a holy priest.
Yeah, he kind of went all out and kind of revealed a lot of things in that final post.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read through all of it yet, but I think it's a shame to see him go, but at the same time, it's exciting to see what we might get and see if there is anything that will change. Maybe nothing will change because at the end of the day, Blizzard is a big company, and I'm sure Ghostcrawler didn't make every decision, if you know what I mean.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So
Only
it'll
the
be
bad
interesting
ones.
I mean, just when it came to mages or holy priests, apparently. Um, but yeah, so I don't really know. But I think he did a great job while he was here, and he was a cool guy, and he revolutionized the way we talk to our developers. I think he really started the whole Twitter movement.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
so
his involvement in social media was excellent. I mean, he kind of was the first guy to really do that, and Holinka
Yeah.
definitely followed suit too, and obviously he's doing a great job at interacting with the community now. So I think we're all excited or we're all disappointed or sad to see Greg Street leave. Good night, sweet prince,
It's
right?
going to take a brave man to fill his shoes. I mean, I know we saw a lot of love for Ghostcrawler coming out
Yeah.
when he announced that he was leaving, but prior to that, I can't remember many people, pronouncing their love for him or saying
Right.
thank you for everything that he did. And it seems like it's really a thankless job. I'm sure a lot of people love the developers, and there's a lot of people that like the direction the game is going and different changes, but you just don't hear from them in the community. A lot of the vocal minority tends to be negative. So from the perspective of a public figurehead, they're almost just kind of like a target.
Well, I mean,
So-
in stepping into that position, you're really putting yourself up for that because,
Yeah.
he's people are passionate about World of Warcraft. I mean, there's people that have been playing for the whole 9 years it's been out, and then some with beta and alpha and all that. But you're talking about tons of time, tons of money, just this investment and this passion in this game. And when you have somebody like him who's out in the public and this public figure, and then something that you don't agree with happens to your game, like he puts himself out there kind of as like a target. He's the easy target for who to blame. So I don't necessarily think that Ghostcrawler, Greg Street himself, gets a lot of hate. I just think it's the position he put himself in to
Yeah,
be on that
absolutely.
receiving end.
Yeah, it's because
So I think
he. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just agreeing with Danny, and that's why I think that the next person that takes over, whether it's Celestial One or not, is just going to have to be prepared for that,
Right.
because it's not going to stop. And you see the same thing in other game environments as well. If you follow Dota 2, there's a developer named Cyborg Matt that works over at Valve, and he's pretty much the speaking head for Dota 2, and he gets the same kind of flack. It doesn't matter whether people hate or love the game. The negative just tends to come out more when you're communicating with the developers, because people just don't speak out as much about things that they like.
Right.
right.
Yeah, it's a lot of negativity. Yeah, it's a whole thing is once people put themselves in a position where they're actually going to interact through social media, they're going to hear a lot of problems. I mean, it's just going to happen in anything, really. Kind of moving on from there, and kind of on a similar subject is it was just announced on the official Blizzard hiring jobs board or whatever on the Blizzard site is they're actually hiring a lead producer and a couple of other positions for a new unannounced game. And basically, it's very short. I believe someone can probably link it for me. But they are creating another small team with 15 or fewer people, kind of like Hearthstone is right now, to work on a completely unknown game. So we have no idea what it is yet. No one does. They're keeping it under wraps. It even says that in the posting for the inquiry for finding these people. Kind of just, obviously, it's so hard to even think about what this could be. Obviously, it's not going to be Titan or anything like that with such a small... But, Eldikar, actually, just starting with you, do you have any thoughts of what this could possibly be, or what's going on with this?
I really have no idea what it could possibly be, but I do think that Blizzard is starting to move in this direction of creating a lot more small development teams
Right.
that really bring them back to their roots of really a free design process, because it's so much easier to collaborate and develop something and develop a new idea in particular when you've got a smaller team. And they've seen the success and the popularity of Hearthstone and the excitement that's coming for Heroes of the Storm. And I think they really just want to start moving more heavily in this direction of creating more small teams to work on more projects at the same time.
Do you think it could be possible that maybe making just like a mobile only game. I mean, that could be a possibility, right?
Yeah, that's totally possible. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see almost anything come out of them.
Yeah.
Really, my only expectation from it is fitting with Blizzard's overarching theme of being very accessible, easy to learn, and difficult to master. I think we're going to see a very casual, friendly game, even if it has hardcore elements, no matter what the genre, no matter what the game type. That is just Blizzard's MO.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but they really, if you think about it, they like to design games that are kind of like old school games, like in the new school. You know what I mean?
They try to
So
bring them
like
back to and reinvent them.
like tabletop RTS. You know,
Yeah.
like RPGs, like mods and all. Like they kind of they like to stick to like the roots. You know what I mean? So and what I think is interesting about this is along with this position that they're hiring for. Some of the positions they have listed as well is 3D character animator, 3D weapon artist, lead 3D character artist. So obviously they're trying to go what sounds more of like maybe like an action game or maybe Warcraft 4.
I think that might be kind of hard with a 15-person team, don't you think? I mean,
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean,
I don't
whatever.
think it's going to be Warcraft 4 as much as I'd love that. They've
Maybe.
commented just recently that they don't have plans for Warcraft 4 right now
Well, because World
their
of Warcraft
RTS elements are
Yeah.
focused on the StarCraft 2 team.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I think they definitely found something special with the development of Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with a small team. It's a very simple game, but it's won the hearts of many.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, with that small of a team, you would have to think that it's going to have to be a simpler game, like you just said, like Hearthstone, because let's be honest, they're not making a new MMO with 15 people on a team. I mean, it's
Right.
just not going to happen. Davis, going down to you, what are your thoughts? Have you thought about this at all? What could it possibly be, or is it good to have a 15-person team? Because Hearthstone has been successful, so.
I mean, I'm not like super excited about it, but I'm excited to see what it is. I don't know, because I feel like they always have a team for something, and then that team disappears, and then they come back and they do
Right.
something else, and then they disappear, and so I don't really know what to make of it, and I'm not very good at tinfoil hatting and being like, oh, I think it's this because I saw this tweet here, and
Right.
in this storyline and this quest, it's I don't really know.
Yeah, it's really
But,
hard to. Oh, go ahead.
The thing that confuses me is it's a small team, but they need 3D animators and stuff like that. So it makes me think it's not necessarily a mobile game, even though mobile games can do 3D stuff. It's not really, you don't really have a super fun experience playing a 3D style game on your phone, I don't think.
Yeah, like Infinity Blade or those are a little rough to run on a handheld.
Well, they're fun games, but I think one of the things Blizzard aims for is replayability. They want lasting power to their games, right? Like I played the first 2 Infinity Blades, and after that, it's just what do you do, right?
Yeah.
You don't really go back and replay it.
Right. It's a one and done.
Right.
Maybe it's an FPS.
That'd be wow, with 15 people again. That'd be super interesting if that happened.
I would like an FPS. I want there to be an FPS.
Could you imagine a StarCraft FPS? Like,
That'd be-
wasn't there supposed to be one Ghosts or something? Ghosts?
Yeah, there was,
Yeah.
but it ended up getting scrapped. It wasn't meeting their quality standards, or they didn't like where it was going. But just because they only have 15 people now doesn't mean they couldn't add more people
Sure.
if they like the direction the project starts going. This could just be, the vanguard of a new development team.
And I
But I think it's
presume,
worth. Oh, go ahead, JD.
I would presume that they'll already have people aside from that 15-man team that will be semi-involved in some way, shape, or form. So, maybe it's like it could be something that's StarCraft Ghost or whatever, that's like they've already got a 10-man team in terms of the StarCraft side of it, but they need the FPS people
to add on to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Before we move on to the next subject, I just want to remind everyone to go to pvp-live.com, bookmark that site, follow us here on Twitch, and follow all of us on Twitter. And something else I want to bring up is we actually just hired a bunch of new bloggers, so you will be having fresh daily content every single day. And that's something we're striving very hard to work on. And as I've said earlier in previous podcasts, we have some huge things coming in 2014. Like, crazy stuff I can't talk about yet, but I promise you it's going to be awesome. It's super crazy stuff. Kind of moving on, and this is something we've talked about a lot on the PvP Live podcast, is button bloat. And Lore kind of just made a post on the official forums that, this is something that they are looking into. They understand that, there are too many buttons, too many abilities for some classes, but, that's going to take a lot of in-depth research and math before they can just cancel out abilities for certain classes. Davis, I'd never start with you. I'm going to go down to Davis right now. Davis, what do you think about? I mean, after reading Laura's posts and that they finally acknowledge that there are too many abilities. I mean, what do you think? What do you think they're going to do about this?
Well, I think it's really cool because I play a rogue, as people know. I FOTM reroll occasionally, but for the most part, I play a rogue. And playing a rogue has been a lot about maintaining buffs, and I don't think a lot of rogue gameplay would suffer if you didn't have to keep slice and dice up and recoup up and certain bleeds up. So the fact that they're thinking about making some of those passive and things like that, I don't think it's too... There's not people that's like, oh, you're just getting passive increased attack speed and stuff. I don't think it's, if it's across the board and everyone gets similar things updated and removed so that they don't have to push a button every 30 seconds just to make sure they maintain a buff, then I think it's okay, and I look forward to it. But at the same time, I would worry if they took so much away that playing felt strange, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like you could just point and click and it would be like, I did damage. Wow.
Well, that's going to the completely other extreme. You have too much or you have too little. I'm guessing they probably wouldn't go to, the one-click win scenario. But it'd be super interesting to see.
Someone will find a macro.
Oh, sure.
Eventually.
Swifty.
Yeah.
You always find it.
Yeah. Danny Airden, going up to you. What do you think about Lore's recent post on button bloat?
I think it's something that definitely needs to be taken a look at. However, it's something that needs to be done with mittens or however the phrase goes. I don't know, like kid gloves or something. Like, it's something you have to be very careful about doing because, although there are a lot of abilities, a lot of keybinds you have, what can you really take away? Without making people feel like you stripped their class. A lot of us can remember a time when not every class had every CC available, right? But playing the current game and then going back to something like that would feel strange, So, like, I don't know, for example, like, I played like a Ret Paladin back in Wrath, and they never had an interrupt. And then in Kata they got one. But if I wanted to go back and play Ret again without an interrupt, it would just feel weird,
Right.
So it's just something they have to look at. And also, I think taking away too much is a bad thing because I like having options, you know what I mean? I like knowing that I can press a button in a situation and change the situation. So, for example, and I'm not bashing on this game at all, but like Star Wars, The Old Republic, when I played that game, I got to max level, and I just felt like I didn't have enough choice in my abilities or what to press when. So that really turned me off from that. So I don't know. I just think it's something that has to be done very carefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be complete. I mean, would you be mad if they, for example, took away unending breath?
No.
What if that's the first thing to go? What if that's all they're going to do? They're just taking away unending breath.
It wouldn't upset me personally. Some people probably because I can't farm ore at the bottom of the lake now.
Right.
Oh.
It'll be interesting. Eldakar, what do you think about Lore's post on button bloat?
Well, the impression that I got was that they're not trying to get rid of utility stuff like Unending Breath, things that you're not most likely going to have keybound.
Right.
They're trying to reduce the number of things that you need to have keybound. But if it's something that you have keybound, then it's obviously something you use and something that you're going to miss if it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have to do that very, very carefully. And they seem to be completely aware of that. But like Danny said, the danger here is that they're going to remove too much choice. And yeah, you can definitely make the argument that there's way too many buttons now and it's too complicated, but that still introduces an element of skill to the gameplay because you have to know what to press and when. And that choice, that conscious choice that they're always trying to encourage us to make is a huge element of, bringing your skill to bear on how you play the game. Mm-hmm. With reduced choices, you reduce the skill cap, and then you may end up with a situation where everybody's doing pretty much the exact same damage in PvE and PvP situations, and your skill really doesn't play as much of a part. Obviously, in PvP, positioning is a huge deal, and I understand you don't want to stand in fire in PvE as well, but I know there's other aspects to skill, but I think it's still something they have to be really careful about.
The situational use of abilities, and the choices you make is a lot about, the skill. So,
right.
Warriors seem to get picked on a lot these days because they're really strong and they can stick on targets, right? But like, one of the things I noticed that makes a good warrior from a bad warrior is like spell reflect usage. You know what I mean? Like, good warriors know when to use spell reflect. Bad warriors just put it up so that maybe they might not get CC.
They might hit something, yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's that knowing when to use abilities is what makes the skill, and having those choices to make. I think I really like. I play mostly warlock, so I could say like, all right, well, maybe like Curse of Elements or something. Like, why not just put that passive or something, or just increase all the damage by 5? I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. Like, Curse of Tongues, maybe you want to keep because using that and having that fall off is kind of like a skill thing, but I don't know. Like, I really personally struggle with thinking like what abilities can go.
Yeah, Danny, I completely agree with you there. I think if they removed some of the juggling act type stuff, things that you're expected to have up all the time, but they're really not a choice. It's just something that you have to do and another ball that you have to keep in the air while you're playing. I think if they removed that, they could free people up to make more interesting decisions and spend more of their time and more of their GCDs doing things that are real choices. So that may be a direction that they're going.
I think I can think of, for instance, like sub-rogues have hemorrhage and backstab, and you can use either one of those to generate combo points.
Right.
And there used to be, a difference between using either, but now it's like it doesn't really matter if you hemo or you backstab. You're either able to backstab because you're standing behind someone, or you're able to hemo because you're not, if you know what I mean. Or you want to save a little bit more energy. It used to be there was a bigger energy difference between the two, so like hemo was really cheap. But so that decision could go because the two buttons serve the same purpose pretty much. And I mean, I would be okay with backstab doing a little bit more damage and not being able to have hemo anymore, or hemo being the same cost as backstab, and backstab not being in the game, if you know what I mean. And heroic strike for warriors, I mean, nobody ever uses that, so
right.
That
I
doesn't
actually think rogues are a good example because one of the reasons I don't like to play rogue is because I just feel like I don't know, of course I want to be good at a game and show my skill and whatever, but like rogues, to me, it's like I just want to eviscerate things, right? Like I don't want to have to spend my combo points on slice and dice and then get a rupture up,
right?
And then, you know what I mean? Like,
you want to get that instant damage off.
Well, not just that. I mean, I think the choice between kidney shot and eviscerate, that's a good choice, right? Like, you got to know when to use what.
Sure.
But like using your combo points for all these like filler things is just, I don't know. I just don't like that playstyle.
You know what's a good question is, since we're talking about this, is what class do you guys think could benefit the most. Now, for example, I don't play a hunter, but from what I know about them, they have a shit ton of abilities. I mean, what class do you think would benefit from, tying down, getting rid of some abilities the most? Eldakar, going down to you, what do you think?
I think rogues are probably a good example. I don't know of any other good examples off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's about it, huh?
But, I do know that Ret Powies are probably on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Too few abilities.
Yeah, well, it's not too few. It's just that there's not enough choice in Ret Powie gameplay, at least in my opinion. And obviously, it was even worse in the past. If you go back to like Wrath of the Lich King, and it was just pure RNG and really no choice at all. All Ret Powies did was just follow people around and kind of auto attack. But I think that's the danger of we don't want to go back to like where Ret Powies were in Wrath of the Lich King with any class.
Right. Airden, what do you? I mean, do you agree with him? Do you think rogues are pretty much one of the main ones with too many different abilities, or is there some other class you're thinking about?
I would actually I want to say Unholy Death Knights. Like, I used to love playing Unholy, and that's what I played all through Keta. But like, I don't know if it's like a rune problem or something, but I swear you have like 6 different abilities just to attack something, which I feel is like too much. You have like your Plague Strike for your diseases, and Chains is kind of like a filler, but then like Death Coil, Scourge Strike, Necrotic Strike, Festering Strike. Like, why all that stuff?
Right.
Why do you need
I
it?
agree with that, Danny.
David,
I tried out Unholy on my DK, and I thought the same thing, and I went back to Frost.
I mean, it's not necessarily like I don't think it shows more skill to say like I press more buttons than you and do the same damage, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just I don't know. Like, so that's like a good example. Like, yeah, rogues, hunters. I wouldn't really say hunters. Like, they have a lot of like I guess you could call them like extra abilities. Like traps.
Traps, yeah.
And like flare, I guess, but that's kind of like a good thing. Hunter's Mark, like, they have a lot of like extra abilities. So I don't know.
Well, depending on what spec you play, there can be a lot of additional. It seems like sometimes unneeded abilities from at least a little bit of that I know about hunters. Davis, going down to you. I mean, do you agree that rogues are probably one of the main classes, or DKs are one of the main classes that have too many different abilities?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Rogues have too many abilities, and that's why any rogue that is a good player is a god.
Right, you just want to play. You want to press you want to go stealth, press eviscerate. That's it. You're done.
No, I wanna. I would like ambush.
Permanent shadow dance, ambush all day.
There you go.
One shot backstab.
Backstab. Yeah, backstab should one shot, and if the backstab doesn't one shot, you should have enough combo points to just kill someone afterwards.
Well, I think we were talking about before is I think I agree with JD is rogues should never go out of stealth. You're always in stealth for the whole time you're playing rogues. You're just always in stealth and you just can't be attacked.
So
Yeah,
you
you
want to
said
be like a fucking Dark Templar.
Yeah, you just want to be invincible, basically.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, you should do no damage.
Yeah, I would happily do less damage if I could just be invisible all the time. It would just be so much fun. How annoying could you be?
You could play a rogue and you could stay in stealth and you could like stun and stuff like that all day, but you can't do any damage abilities.
Yeah, what if they made a whole new they did a whole new spec, right? And you have 70% damage reduction, but you're in stealth all the time. I would play that class.
Yeah, like
would be fun.
You could just control people and just be annoying, and people are like, "Where is that guy? Oh, I'm locked full."
I hate this idea.
And that would
really
be the end of World of Warcraft right there with that idea.
I feel like
this is balance, okay? This is balance, 100% balance.
Moving on to the next subject, Critho, who is a community manager for World of Warcraft, posted on the official forums about gear changes in 6.0. It's a pretty long, in-depth post. But the basic summary is it seems that it'll be viable to use one set of gear for hybrid classes, and there may be tertiary stats added to PvP gear, which we already know it's going to be added to PvE gear. Eldakar, actually, you had to do a bit explaining to me, so I'm going to let you explain to everyone about the main changes or what he was talking about in this post.
Okay, well, there's a number of different things that they announced. Obviously, the post was pretty PvE-centric.
Right.
But they have the potential to really impact PvP as well, depending on how they're implemented. The tertiary stats are probably the big one. They add interesting things like cleave or movement speed or life steal that we know are going to stack. So if there's a potential to get a lot of that and a lot of different pieces of gear, it could potentially cause balance issues in arena and battlegrounds and other PvP. But we don't know if those effects are going to work in PvP or not, and we don't know if you're going to be able to get them on PvP gear. So that's really an up in the air type thing. And then there's also the possibility to get gem slots as like a random appearance on your gear in PvE. And of course, there's still war forging, just a random item level increase, and then item upgrades and stuff like that that have the potential to introduce a lot of variance in PvE items from the base item to how powerful it could potentially get at the very upper end. So that's going to make developing the PvP gear very difficult, because how do they compare the PvP gear to the PvE gear if there's such a huge spread between how powerful just any one item could be? If you've got a mythical item with all three like random effects and fully upgraded Warforged with gems and perfect tertiaries and stuff like that, how do you compare Conquest gear to that without making the Conquest gear too powerful compared to the base item?
Right.
So that's going to be a huge challenge that they're going to
Well,
have to overcome.
I think they're going to stick with this scaling thing that they've been doing. You know, like PvE gear scales down in arena or any instance PvP. I mean, I think a good solution, which maybe they could use, I don't know, is make conquest gear really strong and scale down in PvE, right? Like, why can't we get some love like that? And then that way you have PvP gear is the best for like world PvP too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since it's a higher item level, all that stuff. I think it would work just as well to go backwards.
Well, Aaron, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. I think that's kind of what they're looking at doing. If you notice Brian's tweet from a while back, they're looking at making Conquest gear the same item level as heroic PvE gear, which will be the second tier from the top. But even with just, a one tier difference between the top PvP gear and the top PvE gear, that's a pretty big gap to bridge. So
Well-
it really depends on exactly how they play it out.
Go ahead, Davis. What were you going to say?
So at the moment, it's a big gap between so a few eye levels can have you in gear that's like substantially better, if you know what I mean. But aren't they? So they're kind of changing the way stat weights work, and won't that in turn make eye level gaps less prominent, or do I understand?
Well,
this wrong?
this is a whole can of worms you don't want to open with Jeff, because he's got this whole I don't know, you can explain it, but like but I get what you're saying. Like, so right now, like a level like 15 item level jump could be like 800 stats, right? Like right now. But
Yeah.
when they squish the items, it could be like 8 stats, which really isn't that big of a deal, but the relative value versus the whatever math
But then
stuff.
those eight stats are also weaker, because aren't they changing? Like at the moment, stamina gives us like 100 health or whatever, and they're changing it to 10 and stuff like that.
My understanding is that the relative difference in the strength of items based on item level is not going to change. So if you have something that's one tier higher, it's still going to have the same relative difference in power now as in the future, because item levels are supposed to be like one item level should increase stats by 1%, roughly. So 13 item levels, which is normally a tier, will increase stats by 13%. And I don't think that's changing in the expansion, even though they're squishing the numbers down.
Well, another subject is, what do you guys think about, one gear set for a hybrid classes? I personally, I think it's a great idea myself. It's just a lot easier to get gear, and you don't have to get 2 sets of different gear. Aridin, what do you think about that?
I think like, it's weird. I've never really, anytime I've ever played a hybrid class, I've never taken advantage of like more than one spec. So like, even when I played a paladin, I played red. I never played prod. I never played holy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for me, it's not that big of a deal. But like I always kind of feel like when I'm fully geared on a character, whether it be PvE, PvP, whatever, like I kind of like, what's the point? You know what I mean? That's like to keep playing, to keep rating, right? If you got all your gear, why do you keep rating? Maybe this new system might fix that, trying to like get best in slot, best tertiary stats or whatever. But I don't know. I think it takes away a lot of like incentive to keep going, to keep getting gear. You know, to build that second gear set or whatever. Um, so I don't know. I mean, PvP, it's kind of not really an issue now because by the time you have your full main set, you can just farm the rest with honor because of the achievement or whatever. So
Right.
not a big deal. Um, but I don't know. I think it might take away some incentive to keep going. But I think we know that it's only going to be on like main set pieces, right? Like head, chest, shoulders, and all that stuff. Like all of your offset stuff, trinkets, rings, neck, are not going to switch stats.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Davis,
maybe I don't know.
Davis, what do you think about hybrid classes having one gear set? Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I'm the same. Like I played Feral Druid, and that's about as close to playing a hybrid as I've got. I haven't played a healer or a caster or anything like that, so I haven't really played a hybrid. But I think it's certainly a good idea. I play with hybrids, and they're always whinging about how they have to wait until their conquest cap to get the gear for honor and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's certainly not a bad change, and I can't think of anything that someone would want to complain about.
Eldakar, what are your thoughts on hybrid gear? One gear set for hybrid classes.
I think it has the potential to be a good thing. I think as long as it's suboptimal and you're still encouraged to farm a second set of gear if you want to be, totally optimal at that spec, it's a good way to go because people should be able to try out their other specs without having to farm up an entire other gear set before they can even like give it a shot. I mean,
Right.
if you're playing a rep power and you want to try out Holy, that's a lot of work to do just to even get a feel for what Holy is like in PvP.
Right.
And this could potentially make that easier. But I agree with what Danny said. People need routes to continue improving their character and continue spending honor and conquest points. So if they introduce some kind of system to where you could improve your gear or you could get like random stats on PvP gear that would encourage you to keep farming to get those ideal pieces, kind of like what they're doing in PvE, I think it has the potential to make the system much more interesting and much more fun.
Yeah, I on this same note too is like you said it takes a lot of work to try out a different spec. And I believe I just read somewhere, I can't remember where, but they're fixing or redoing the way the crafted PvP gear is going to happen. Did you guys read that anywhere?
Yeah, that was kind of like a tweet. Holinka mentioned.
Oh, that's right.
That,
That's what it was.
He doesn't like the idea of like the starter gear coming from crafting, and he wants to
Right.
add like BOE PvP gear from BGs or something like that. I didn't really catch much detail on it, but that was kind of like the direction it was going. So
Yeah, he wants loot bags to come from things like BGs that have the potential to give you a BOE low item level PvP item. And the idea is really to give PvPers a source of gold income because they can go and sell this stuff on the auction house to people that are looking for a starter PvP set and put a little money in their pockets.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And actually, on that note too, talking about Holinka, because I totally spaced out of where I heard that about the crafted gear is, we're still actually waiting, and I hope Holinka's listening, or he will listen tomorrow when it's on SoundCloud. But we're all patiently waiting for more information on PvP in the next expansion, especially the Trial of the Gladiator. So I'm hoping that's going to be coming out soon, and I'm guessing probably now. It probably wouldn't be till after the holidays, but that's just a guess. I have no idea. We'll see. Eldakar, I'm sorry, did we cover everything on Kritho's post? I think we did. PvP power? Did we talk about everything?
PvP power.
Yeah, PvP power. That's it.
They're looking at potentially revamping PvP power from its current implementation, where you've got percentage increase to damage and healing, to where it just gives you primary stat, whatever your primary stat is going to happen to be at the time. And it seems interesting. It'll make it easier for people to understand, but I think it has the potential to cause balance issues depending on how much there is of that PvP power on the gear. If they're trying to bridge, a huge gap between PvP gear and PvE gear using this, then classes that benefit really, really heavily from primary stats stand to gain a lot more. Like
Sure.
rogues value agility almost twice as much as warriors value strength, at least in terms of stat weights. So normally, like with an item level increase, you get an even distribution of stats. So it's balanced out. The things that warriors like are there, and the things that like rogues like are there, and nobody really gets an advantage. But if it's all just a huge stat budget going into primary stats, certain classes could pull ahead, but only when they're wearing that gear, and that creates a huge can of worms that I don't think the developers really want to get into.
That's because like agility classes and intellect classes as well get crit from their main stat, right? Like warriors and DKs and strength classes get like parry or something. So like,
exactly.
it's a completely different I guess environment, if you want to say. Is that the right word? I don't know, but yeah. So like getting like that valuable secondary stat from agility and intellect kind of maybe needs to go away. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
it's.
make-
Oh, go ahead, Danny.
Maybe like make the base crit higher or something and take crit away from agility, or who knows. I'm not a balanced person, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's going to be super interesting. Jeff, did you have anything else to say on PvP power? Or I think that was kind of.
No,
yeah,
I'll go
that's
into more detail in a post, but I don't want to blow everybody up about it right now.
Yeah, that's going to have to be one of your in-depth math posts, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of moving on to the next and final topic, and this is going to be kind of a quick one, but this is actually articles that I've read before in the past about, and I haven't heard anyone really talk about it lately, but Gamebreaker, I'm going to give a shout out to them because this is what made me think about it. Gamebreaker had it on their legendary show last week. Is what if you could loot players in PvP? I know it's kind of a fun topic to talk about, but it's just a real quick one. Aaron, what do you think what do you think if Blizzard decided to put lootable kills in PvP? What would that mean? What would that do?
No, I didn't really catch this piece, but like take things from other people?
Yeah.
Or
well, either way, it's basically stuff out of your bag. So if you get killed,
I would just
PvP,
send all my shit to alt. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That'd be the easiest answer. Davis, going down to you. I mean, what do you this is kind of it's kind of a tough question. Davis, going down to you. I mean, is that something that you would be interested in? Lootable kills in PvP?
So I played Lineage 2, and so that was in it. Like if you killed enough people, the game had a system where it decided you were a bad enough guy that if someone tried to kill you, they deserved to get something for it, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So you could be looted and lose your gear, and they could take your gear and things like that. So, I mean, on the one hand, it is a really, really cool thing, and it does make world PvP and stuff like that like way more interesting. On the other hand,
there'd be a lot of griefing.
Do you really want to be sat AFK and then come back and find out you don't have a weapon anymore? I mean,
it'd be really tough to balance.
Yeah.
It'd be really tough.
But it would be really fun, and it would be interesting if, I don't know, maybe they'll be able to do like a trial of the gladiator thing that's like that. It's like a certain time slot where BGs you can go into and, I don't know, get cooler armor or something. I don't know.
Maybe if they like added a loot table to players that was unrelated to what was in your bags, that might be cool. Like you could get some gold or some tokens or whatever. Who knows? But I think the idea of looting players' stuff is a very old idea.
Yeah.
Like RuneScape and things like that, and it's just not fun, man. I don't know. I mean, it's fun when you're the one killing people and taking their shit, but nobody wants to have their shit taken, right?
Yeah.
So.
I think especially in world PvP too, there'd be a lot of griefing going on. I mean, a lot of camping. There'd be constant camping, I think, going on of different areas. Eldakar, do you want to weigh in on lootable PvP kills?
Honestly, the thing I'm worried about is being in BGs and working on objectives and stuff like that, and people stopping the loot in the middle of fights. I don't want to see that.
Right. Yeah, that's only gonna add more problems to random battlegrounds that we don't need.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think being able to take somebody's items is really a good direction to go. Like you said, it's going to open up a huge can of worms for griefing. And I don't see anything.
Eldecar has a
that's gonna
fan
come
club
from
in
it.
chat here.
Yeah,
Jeez,
Eldecar's
oh
got
my-
some fans.
I guess I haven't been paying attention to chat. Wow. Jeff, look at this fan club you have. Oh my lord, let Eldecar speak. That's all. This is gonna be the Eldecar PvP Live podcast from now on. But anyways, guys, I think that was pretty much the last topic for today's podcast. I want to thank you everyone for coming, and please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark that site, and follow us all on Twitter. Aridin, going to you. Any last minute shout outs before we wrap things up here?
I'm gonna shout out to Ruddy here in chat. Thanks for letting me talk. I know you might not have agreed with everything I said, but thanks for being here. And Evoke. Shout out to Evoke.
Eldecar, going down to you. Any last minute shout outs?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. It's been great interacting with all you guys, and I appreciate the support. I really do.
Before I go to Davis, I'm going to make a public call out right now. I want to do an RAF next week, Davis. Can we do an RAF next week, please? Yes or no?
Yes, we can do an RAF next week.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Davis and his friend Nico, which also works for PvP Live, and myself and Aridin are going to be doing an RAF, so Davis and Nico can come over to the US side, and I think it's going to be a really fun time. We're actually going to be streaming pretty much the whole thing, and we're also going to be making some videos, and I think we're kind of funny somewhat, so I think we'll be some entertainment while we're leveling. But Davis, going back to you, any last minute shout outs?
So shout out to all the people that came into chat, Evoke, Ruddy, everyone that's here, Diabolus. I'm doing an interview with Diabolus. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you all that I'm doing that, but I am doing that for his new movie. And it will be released probably, I think it's on Monday, sometime this week. And on top of that, I would like to be tweeted by people. So that's at PvP Live and at Notorious Mui, which I think you can see below me. Is this correct?
Yep,
yes,
that's right.
Follow all of us. I want followers too.
Yeah, follow all of us. But I would like to be
I'm
tweeted.
whoring myself out.
I would like to be tweeted and told who you would like to see PvP Live interview, because that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing interviews. So I want to know who you want to hear from.
I actually want to bring up and carry on what you just said too. Is Diabolus is releasing, or he actually just said it's already on warcraftmovies.com. It's an excellent, he just released it, but it's an amazing video. Just go to, maybe someone else can link that for him since it automatically got deleted. But he's a shaman, and the editing is absolutely amazing. It's phenomenal. But like I said, Davis is going to be interviewing him very soon. I think that's it. Oh yeah, guys, thank you for everyone coming. I'm just gonna, Victoria, Evoke, Jenny, thank you, Warcraft Jen, for coming by, Diabolus and Ruddy, and who else am I missing? I don't know. Anyone else that's here, thank you guys so much for coming. And remember, we do this every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. The times might be changing soon. We're not sure yet. But thanks for coming. And just remember to go to pvp-live.com and check out the website, because we have new bloggers and there is content every single day now. So get there and remember to go. Thanks, guys, for coming. Until next week, bye-bye.